Breaking news, says the debrief, AARO has a new director. So let's talk about that and a whole lot more. It's time for another UFO News Roundup. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. The debrief says the Pentagon's official UFO investigative group, AARO, has a new full-time director. And it's this fella right here. Disclosure King says, what are the chances of the new director of AARO having lived in Palmdale, California, and Arlington, Texas, cities that have both had mass UAP sightings in the last 5 months? I don't know. But Michelangelo says this is what we know about the new director of AARO. Dr. John Kozlowski, who I might have to start referring to as the lovely Dr. John Kozlowski. But we'll see. Maybe he'll turn out to be cool. You never know. Miracles happen, right? Miracles happen. John possesses the unique set of scientific and technical skills, policy knowledge, and proven leadership experience required to enhance AARO's efforts to research and explain UAP to the Department, Congress, and the American people. Yeah, to explain, I'm sure, right? As the AARO director, Dr. Kozlowski will head DoD's efforts in coordination with the intelligence community to minimize technical and intelligence surprise by synchronizing scientific intelligence and operational detection, identification, attribution, and mitigation of UAP in the vicinity of national security areas. It's really interesting that they're going to mitigate UAP when AARO has repeatedly said there are no UAP. They're all balloons. If there are UAP, they're balloons, right? Chinese balloons. Under his leadership, AARO will continue to examine the U.S. government historical record relating to UAP, as well as efforts to declassify and release UAP-related records to the greatest extent possible. So here we go. I'm sure the lovely Dr. Kozlowski will just do a bang-up job at AARO and won't spread any disinformation or anything. Unlikely, right? But hey, maybe I'm being, too cynical. Maybe as a response to everything that has happened in the last few years, they have decided to put in a legit director of AARO, right? Time will tell. Honestly, I'm willing to give him a shot. Tim Phillips has just made his first, public statement, basically saying there's nothing to see here, folks. So, and now Dr. Kozlowski is appointed within a few days after that. So could that appointment be a response to Tim Phillips' statements? They said, oh, well, Tim is just another lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. Maybe we need to put in a real director of AARO, somebody that actually will move the ball forward and won't be part of the cover-up. Hey, like I say, miracles can happen. So we will have to wait and we will have to see what Dr. Kozlowski brings to the table, if anything. Probably more balloons. Meanwhile, the not lovely, but actually really lovely, Tim Burchett is talking about the next UFO hearing in Congress.
Hearings with new whistleblowers on the horizon.
Yes, ma'am. We'll be announcing something. I will not be chairing it, but they wouldn't allow me to do it. But there's going to be some others that are, and I'd be very satisfied with them. We'll have I believe one of our female members of Congress will be chairing that committee, and we're going to get to the bottom of a lot of things. We're going to call some people in, and they're going to point some fingers, and they're going to name some names. So
we'll be watching.
I say, let's get it on.
All right, Representative.
I love it. Point those fingers, name those names. But I'm really hoping that these new witnesses will actually be participants in the UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs. Or failing that, somebody that's worked with beings, right? Or even at least studied them, right? Maybe that anonymous molecular biologist on Reddit will come forward. Again, miracles can happen. I'm a little disappointed that Tim won't be leading the charge, but there are some great females that are on the case that would do a fantastic job. I just hope that Tim isn't taking a step back, is my concern. But there you go, Tim continuing to talk about the next UFO hearing, which might happen as soon as September. So, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Meanwhile, Lue Elizondo is still making the media rounds. I mean, it is just a Lue Elizondo onslaught. And he's even willing to get a little funky from time to time. Here he is on News Nation talking about remote viewing.
Sure. Well, the remote viewing program went by many names. One of them was called Stargate. Before that, it was called Grill Flame, etc., and began really in the late 1960s, early 1970s, led by a gentleman, one of my former colleagues, actually, Dr. Hal Puthoff, who actually worked at the time with Stanford University and created what is now known as the, quote, psychic spy program for the Central Intelligence Agency. And those techniques were quite effective. There's a lot of information to substantiate that, yeah, actually the program did work, even though it was eventually shut down due to budgetary concerns.
Okay, yeah, remote viewing is so fascinating, and yes, it's real and it works. I didn't used to be a believer in remote viewing either before I got into the weirder aspects of all of this. It was really Richard Dolan's wife, that made me start taking it a little more seriously, and then Richard Dolan taking her seriously, and I began to be a little bit more open-minded about it and started doing some research, and then more and more research, and then later had firsthand experience with remote viewers. And yeah, it's real, and it changes your mind about the nature of reality. And at that time, I was getting into the weirder stuff anyway. But it's just fantastic. Now, it's interesting that he mentions Hal Puthoff, who of course was a big part of it. But one other interesting feature about Hal Puthoff that's not commonly discussed is that he's a Scientologist. Well, guess who else was a Scientologist? Ingo Swann. Not only was Ingo a Scientologist, but he was also a spy for Scientology, according to Danny Sheehan. Let's give a listen.
It was all reports by Ingo Swann. Ingo Swann was filing reports with the head Guardian office in the UK about the entire internal operations of the Office of Naval Intelligence remote viewing program that they were doing. He was just giving them all the information.
So he was a spy or something?
Yeah, he was a spy for the Church of Scientology.
For the Church of Scientology?
Over and against the Office of Naval Intelligence.
Why would he do that?
Because he was a high-level clearer. That was his loyalty group. His
so that
fundamental loyalty.
He was loyal to them prior to...
That's right. That's right.
I don't even know where to start with that. I mean, the Office of Naval Intelligence, obviously dodgy and shady and involved in stuff, right? So, I mean, in a way, I'm like, okay, whatever. But, those are treasonous thoughts, so we'll strike that from the record. But, yeah, Scientology is an interesting player in this, weirdly. Hal and Ingo and others in their orbit involved in all of this are Scientologists, and that is so strange. I don't take Scientology seriously, but I take those people seriously, and that actually makes me start to question my stance on Scientology. That's an unfortunate screen grab of Jesse. I still don't think Scientology is valid, but I mean, you've got to wonder. I mean, how Puthoff, there's no flake. So, what's up with that? And then spying on the Office of Naval Intelligence on behalf of Scientology? That's crazy, guys. So the Scientology people were interested in what the government knows about things like UFOs or remote viewing or, whatever Ingo is specifically spying on. He was a remote viewer, but he was also mixed up at least a little bit with UFOs. And if you haven't read his book, Penetration, really great book. And he's a great writer, a very fun, colorful writer, and he has some very fun, colorful stories to tell about Axelrod, the original Axelrod, not the Axelrod 2.0 from Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, which is Jay Stratton. We still don't know who that original Axelrod was. Meanwhile, I'm delighted to say there's been some movement on the Nazca mummy situation. From Gonzalo Chavez, the McDowell firm provided an update on Reddit today clarifying their position on the Nazca mummy's discovery and hinting on further news on the discovery. Okay, we've got to read that, guys. That sounds amazing. Dr. McDowell went down to Peru. He studied the mummies. He studied Maria. In his preliminary assessment of Maria, he said that she was a genuine tridactyl being, not a manipulated human in any way. She was an actual non-human being, and he referred to others as non-human beings. And he is an award-winning forensic specialist, somebody that Gary Nolan has said is exactly who we need studying the mummies. Dr. McDowell's son is an attorney, and he has been very public about all of this. He's even talked about the giant head that we have not seen any pictures of. But yeah, he seems like a cool guy, and I really look forward to any updates that he provides. So let's give a listen to what he says. Get ready to add about 20 new points to the list. The next 2 to 3 months are going to have some newsworthy updates. By the way, I'm putting up a new blog site in the next few days. My SEO guys weren't happy with me for blogging about non-law related topics on my law firm website. Okay, great. So they're actually doing a Nazca Mummy website or something? That sounds cool. I'll move the old stuff over to the new site, but I have a few more articles ready to go that I think this sub will enjoy. I want to tell some stories, give updates, but I also hope to make posts fun and informative to read. I'll post the link here and on X when it's live. By the way, my dad and I have been getting requests to examine other anomalous stuff now. Literally 2 or 3 emails a week of weird stuff. I like to read the emails, especially if people are cordial. Neither one of us had any prior predilection to the alien paranormal, but the good news is that we've been enjoying each other's company, and we'll have some great stories to tell the kids and grandkids. So yeah, there you go. Some new stuff is coming out. 20 new points to the list. And we have to stay tuned for future updates. And of course, check out his blog. He's definitely pimping the blog. But hey, good for him and good for them. I'm so glad they're getting further involved with the Nazca mummies and even branching out into other stuff as well. I can't wait to see where their journey takes them. But I'm really looking forward to new updates on the Nazca mummies. So that's awesome. And new science, new actual science, forensic science that Dr. McDowell will be able to bring to bear. So that's awesome. Meanwhile, some great UFO videos and orb videos from John Bell of Real Florida UFO. Tinkerbell being Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell is John's constant orb companion that comes to visit him. And Tinkerbell, I think of Tinkerbell as a she, Tinkerbell, and the character is a female. But she will often show up and be very playful, and she also she seems to like to get attention. So he's always like, he'll be videoing one UFO, that guy right there, and then Tinker will show up and hog the spotlight. I love it. And he just gets these nightly captures. I recommend going to check out his channel, Real Florida UFO, and of course I'll provide a link below, and you can watch all his videos. But yeah, he gets these
nice flyby, dude. I appreciate that.
He gets these flybys. He gets multiple flybys. In this one video, we have a flyby. Then we have Tinkerbell, and we have that other object he's tracking. I mean, it does incredible contact. There's 3 contacts just in the space of a few seconds. That's nuts, guys. Yeah, John just gets this incredible contact, and on these videos he'll slow it down for us. You can see how this flyby kind of fades out, and if you think those are meteors or something, sometimes they will change direction, so not meteors. But yeah, really fantastic stuff. And he's got so much. Again, he does this nightly. He has these nightly contacts, and he posts them nightly. Here's Tinkerbell being super bright. Just a super bright Tink going on. I don't know. He says that when she's low, she's very bright. And either way, a fantastic sighting of this crazy orb that John calls Tinkerbell. Last but not least, what do you do when a Bengal tiger is roaming around your town? Well, you put a leash on him and take it home. Of course. You'll see that in just a minute, but let me know what you think about everything covered today in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. Smash the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.